Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I just want to go over what open ports are and if they are dangerous. So an open port are ports that accept external traffic. This allows them to communicate with the technologies that are running on that port. So for example, right here, this command lsoft-ipn essentially lists all the open ports that are listening for traffic on a computer. Right here is a VPS I have, and we can see all the ports over here. So this column right here that are listening out for connections. And so an example of an open port right here is we have a web server. So I have Nginx running on port 80, or listening on port 80 and also port 443. It's Dockerized, which is why it says Docker over here, but essentially it's Nginx listening on an open port. And open ports like this, so 443 and 80, are necessary for users to connect to remote services. So if port 80 was closed, then users would not be able to access a website. And so the big question is, are open ports dangerous? So open ports provide an opportunity for an attacker to exploit vulnerabilities. In other words, an open port is an attack surface. So this means that the service listening on the port could be vulnerable to an attack. So for example, I have Nginx listening on port 80, and if it has a known vulnerability, attackers can attempt to exploit it. However, as we mentioned a second ago, open ports are required to have users connect to an application. So I can't just close down port 80 because I'm afraid it's going to get exploited, because then no one would be able to access my web app. So what this means is just with open ports, we want to lower an attack surface. So whenever we're building an application, we want to reduce the attack surface. And as open ports provide an attack surface, they should only be opened when required. So a common example is, say we have a database port open to the public. Well, this isn't really necessary and can also lead to an attack. So what we could do is write a firewall rule to block the database port or whitelist only the necessary IP addresses, because a lot of the time it should just be our application that's interacting with the database. So overall, are open ports dangerous? Not really, because they are necessary, but they do increase the attack surface. So only have ports open if they are necessary. So a port isn't open if there isn't a service listening for a connection on it, essentially. But that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try and get back to you. If you like this kind of content, check out my courses and Chrome extension, link in the description. But besides that, have a good one.